Hello, I'm Elvie.
And I'm Sam.
We're from Wrongsemble, a theatre company which specialises in making work with and for young people nationwide, from outdoor spectacle to non-traditional venue touring, participatory workshops to large-scale community performance. We place shared experience at the heart of everything we create.
This short film is designed to help you start thinking about delivering shared experiences digitally and taking your creative work online. We know that everyone's process and way of working is unique, so the suggestions in this film are here to provide you with some thoughts and ideas for your first steps in preparing to work this way. These are all adaptable at every step of the way to suit you and the young people or families you're engaging with.
We'll be considering the full story: initial safeguarding, technology and platforms, outline and framework, routine and communications, and you, prepping your own needs and resources for delivering digitally. There's also a handy cheat sheet, a set of notes to complement this film, which summarises key areas we'll be covering. In the examples we will share, the following assumptions have been made. You have consent to work with all participants, i.e. they are over 16 years and have agreed to take part, or a parent guardian has consented for the young person to participate. The second assumption we're making is that the delivering practitioners and participants have access to the internet and a smart device, phone, tablet or computer.
Using online platforms with young people for a sustained period of time is a new way of working that we're all adapting to. And whilst there are many interesting ways to engage with digital tools, it is important that we put into place and practice the right procedures to ensure everyone engaging is safe and risks are reduced. We constantly update our policies as new developments emerge, and we advise you to do the same, but our main areas cover
sharing personal information, healthy communication, interacting in a personal space, age limits and content appropriate for younger people. Here we've identified some key aspects for safeguarding and codes of conduct, which you could find useful to consider when preparing for digital delivery. Contract of promise. When communicating with participants via messaging platforms such as WhatsApp that shares personal information, like phone numbers, it is important for everyone to agree to a set of terms and conditions of use. When the group is created or any new member added, paste your contract of usage into the group and make sure everyone, including yourself, replies back with agree. Set clear boundaries right from the start so everyone knows what is expected of them and that there will be consequences for anyone who breaks the contract. A great tool we've seen used in online delivery is a contract of usage slide, which is shown at the beginning of every session, and each participant agrees to it by typing or indicating their answer on the screen. Your contract could include boundaries such as privacy of information. Participants agree to never share anyone's personal information or use these to contact anyone in a separate call or message. Time boundaries. Leaders can make it clear to the participants that communication will only be responded to during set times. You may agree for the participants to use the group, if they wish, outside of these times, but the leader can mute the notifications as not to impinge on their personal time. Code of conduct. A zero-tolerance policy with a clear understanding of unacceptable behaviour, such as the use of foul language, bullying, racism, and negative attitudes to others. When using messages, it is easy to misread a tone or misinterpret a person's sense of humour. Therefore, it's safer to avoid this by discussing with the participants how you expect everyone to behave in the group. Face-to-face contact. With sessions like Zoom, FaceTime or other video conferencing services, be aware of your environment and that of the young people. It might be that the only space that they have is their bedroom or another personal setting. Invitation to your personal space. Make sure you have a neutral background with good lighting and nothing too distracting or inappropriate decor, such as posters, books, or other items on display. Protect yourself. Where possible, Always have 2 leaders on any online session or messaging group. This might be a silent monitor or an assistant. You can also record sessions. Record. It is important that the participants know that they are being recorded for both safeguarding, but also a record of their work. Keeping your digital space clear. Just like your physical space, make sure all participants and yourself do not have any unnecessary windows, documents, or other channels open on your device to avoid any accidental invasion of the session and sharing of personal information. Signposting. With young people spending more time than ever online, it's good practice that everyone knows where they can access further information on reporting or seeking help should they need.
If you need any more information on this, check out your local authority's guidance. As with any delivery, you should have a written risk assessment identifying possible risks and how to minimise them, and a safeguarding policy in place for if any issues arise so you're clear on how to handle them. Remember not to overload the young people. You may want to have a simple document to hand that they can refer to as a reminder of what's expected of them, as well as the promise of contract that they agreed to.
Our top tips for working online with groups are: have your written documentation in place. Allow this to be adjusted and revised as things develop, responding accordingly. Risk assess your own online safety for both your digital and physical space. Be clear with your expectations. Get everyone's written consent to a contract of promise. Ensure young people know where they can access additional safeguarding information and support should they feel concerned.
When considering how you will work remotely and deliver your projects online, there are a number of different apps and platforms that you can make use of to support you. Each come with their own challenges and advantages, and some of which we've already mentioned, but to make things easier, we've categorised them as follows.
Video conferencing. Platforms where you and participants can communicate live via video in a group. For example, Zoom, FaceTime, Skype. Messaging apps. Platforms where you and the participants can communicate via instant messaging or sharing links and content. For example, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Slack. Sharing platforms. Places, aside from video conferencing and messenger apps, where you or participants can share things you have created. These could be public, such as social media apps like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, where participants could use a shared hashtag and tag one another. Or these could be platforms not visible to the public, such as Dropbox or Google Drive, where files or documents can be uploaded and are only visible to those who have been granted access to them. Whatever you choose to use to help you deliver work online, the following considerations may help you filter down the list of options. Keep it simple. Which platforms of communication will be most effective and simple for you and your participants? Where possible, can you use apps they're already familiar with? Age appropriate. Make sure the apps you choose are age appropriate for your participants. Most social media platforms have an age restriction of 13+, and WhatsApp is 16+. Cost. Most platforms have a free option of usage, but some, such as Zoom, will require you to pay for a subscription to host sessions of more than 40 minutes. Make sure you take these restrictions into consideration in your planning and budgeting where possible. Clarity. We've found that using multiple platforms can be really useful, like delivering live workshops on video conferencing and following up with less structured discussions on messaging apps, or sending pre-recorded films like this with tasks or challenges for participants to access at any time. Different platforms offer different forms of interaction and can also be a lifesaver if one app fails or goes offline. Always helpful to have a backup form of communication. But be really clear about which platforms you're using and when. Set clear boundaries for times of usage and how long sessions will be where possible. We'll talk about this more later in defining a routine.
When working on a larger project with multiple leaders and groups, it's important that everyone understands clearly how the project will work. It's also useful to have documentation in place for monitoring and evaluation purposes to reflect on at the end of the project. A clear framework will also help you to communicate to participants what is expected of them, as well as to formulate a comprehensive risk assessment and safeguarding policy. Putting a clear outline in place early on will make planning easier and allow you to focus on creative delivery. Now, the following framework is an example of how we conducted the Reimagine 2020 online programme for our cohort of future creatives. This revolved around a different group of young people, each with their own leader or artist and an assistant or silent monitor.
Here you can see that the tasks have been broken down into a clear timetable, so leaders and supporting artists know what is expected of them for both delivery and planning within the framework of the project. A clear and simple message at the bottom reminds the leader or artist of what responsibilities are theirs and what will be done by someone else on their behalf. This project takes place over 5 weeks, so each artist can then layer on their ideas for how the project will develop week on week, allowing the different art forms to define this individually, while staying connected by the shared weekly framework.
The importance of routine is key for both young people and leaders, so that everyone feels supported and does not become overloaded by the nature of a project. Consistency supports our young people to feel secure, build trust, and for the project to be successful. It promotes the ideas of healthy balance, time management, focus, and self-discipline, and currently provides a structure that some may have lost in their daily lives. Try and keep any posts, live sessions, and times the same, so that everyone feels that they're in control. This should also mean that everyone receives the same information at the same time, or as close as possible if you have several groups. The only variable to this in our framework for Reimagine 2020 is that some assistants needed to monitor different groups, and so live sessions were slightly staggered, but all take place on the same time and the same day each week. Also, having 2 people in each live session means that if the leader cannot make a session due to illness or unforeseen circumstances, the group doesn't have to be rearranged. And as mentioned in the safeguarding policy in the section above, your risk assessment can mention this as a procedure in place. A visual can help to ease stress and give both leaders and participants reassurance.
Here, the participants can see a weekly timetable of what to expect for each day. On Monday is where the weekly uploaded challenge or provocation video to WhatsApp will appear. Tuesday, perhaps this is where they plan their creative response. Wednesday is a reminder of the time for the drop-in surgery, where participants can contact artists with any questions. Thursday, perhaps they want to plan something for the group session the next day. On Friday, the 45-minute Zoom session, followed by a 15-minute chat or surgery session. Then Saturday and Sunday is the weekend before the next week begins on the Monday.
The final key area to consider is you. What do you need to do your job as effectively as possible?
Set yourself up in a space you feel happy and comfortable working in. If using a video conferencing app, test your camera and microphone before each session and check the image you present on screen. Consider what's behind you in your space. You may want to tidy, edit, or remove anything distracting. Use headphones if possible to limit background noise or interruption. Make sure you feel comfortable and confident with the technology you've chosen to use. Take time to orientate yourself with how different platforms work. This is part of your practical planning for digital delivery. Maybe schedule a practice online session if you've never delivered one before, using friends or colleagues as stand-in participants. If you're working with supporting artists, include them in this as a trial run so you can practice co-delivering in this format. You can often record these sessions too and watch them back, which can be helpful, if a little cringeworthy, for evaluating your own delivery style, taking time to read your plan out loud and practice clarity and pacing. Make use of your supporting artists and assistants. If working with them, plan together before the session and consider sharing out the responsibilities in terms of both leading, facilitating, or managing the technical aspects. This will help to ease fatigue and give each other thinking time in sessions. Limit any mid-session anxiety by making sure your devices are connected to a power source, or even if they are fully charged beforehand, have the cables to hand just in case. Have some water or a drink close to hand during sessions. Have all your resources in order, whether these are in a physical or digital format. Keep sessions a digestible and manageable length for everyone involved. Be kind to yourself. There's so much to take in. Filter out the information that isn't useful to you and keep learning as you go. You're not expected to be an expert overnight.
So, as a final checklist for digital delivery, just remember the story.
Safeguarding. Have your policy and approach in place and evaluate and adapt as you go. Technology. Choose the right platforms for your project and participants and make sure you have everything you need in place. Outline. Outline your project delivery, plan appropriately, adjust accordingly as it progresses. Routine. Maintain a routine for your project. Communicate this to participants so they know what to expect of you and what is expected of them, and when. You. Make sure you have everything you need in place to do your job confidently and limiting stress or anxiety. Don't forget to refer to our handy cheat sheet that accompanies this film.